In today's video, I'm going to be going over my pros and cons on the brand new Galaxy A27 5G. Stay tuned. Alright everyone, hopefully you guys are having a good day. Hopefully everyone is safe out there. We have the brand new Samsung Galaxy A27 5G in the house right here. And this device is kind of a weird one, honestly. I don't think it's the worst phone in the world by any means, but it's definitely not one of the best out there. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I like about this device, and of course, some of the things I dislike about this device, and essentially giving you the answer of if you should buy it or not. Starting off with the pros, of course, we start positive like always. First and foremost, we have a long software support on this device. We have Android version 16. One UI 8.5 out of the box on this device. So we have the latest software experience from Android on this device, which is great to see. But we also have 6 years of operating system updates. So like many other budget phones or even mid-range phones like the Motorola Edge 2026 that we just got, that device only has, I believe, 2 or 3 years of operating system updates. This device is actually cheaper, and it's going to come with 6 years of operating system updates. So beautiful to see that on here. Definitely something that Google and Samsung have been accustomed to these last few years. So great to see it in this device. The second pro is going to be the quality of this display. And as you guys know, we do not have a teardrop notch on the Galaxy A27 like we saw on the A26. So this has stopped on the A20 series with the A27 finally. And I think a lot of people are happy about that. There's many people out there that hate that teardrop notch, including me. I think it just makes the phone look a little bit older, to be quite honest, or a lot a bit older, to be quite honest. But we get a bright and very smooth 6.7-inch display on here. We get a Super AMOLED display, which is great to see. 120 Hz refresh rate, Gorilla Glass Victus Plus protection. You really can't ask for more than that, especially in terms of a budget phone. The display looks good. I have no issues with the display whatsoever. Watching YouTube videos, playing video games, watching Netflix, watching Hulu, all your streaming services are going to look excellent on this device, and I don't really have any gripes about it. Next pro I'd have to say is the modern build on this device. This does look very nice in real life. As you guys see, we have that kind of blue accent going around the camera module right here with an even darker blue on the back right here. Absolutely love this color. Very stunning color. If you're into blue at all, definitely pick up this color. Really do like this. Overall, though, updated aesthetic. We have a centered hole punch notch, like I said before, so no more teardrop notch on here. And overall, it uses pretty solid materials. Of course, we have a glass back on the back of this device, Gorilla Glass Victus Plus on the front as well. And on the side of this device, it is going to be plastic. However, this still manages to feel pretty solid overall. So don't really have any issues right here. Definitely one of the pros about this device is the build of this device, especially for the price tag. And last pro I'd have to say about this device is we have, of course, a 5,000 milliamp battery inside of here. It's going to last you the entirety of the day. So if you go to work, go to school, this should last you throughout your work and school day. We also have expandable memory. So if you guys would like to utilize one of your micro SD cards inside of your phone, you can absolutely do that, up to 2 terabytes, no less. So very good to see that, especially in 2026 when we are seeing that less and less over the years. Now, getting into the weird stuff about this device, first and foremost, we have a downgraded durability. We have water and dust resistance, IP64 basically, so it's splash proof only, which is a step down from the Galaxy A26, which was a previous iteration of this device, which is super weird. And we had IP67, which was a submersion rating on this, so we could drop this in water and it would be fine, I believe up to 15 meters or whatever. Weird choice, honestly. I don't know if they did this to save money. I don't know if it still has the ability to do this, but they just didn't want to purchase a certification for this specific phone. But yeah, weird that they didn't utilize IP67 in this device, or at least outwardly say that they did. Our next con is going to be the audio and biometrics on this device. I was hoping for an in-display fingerprint sensor on this device. However, we do have a side-mounted fingerprint sensor. Again, not the end of the world. I just feel, in my mind, for the majority of side-mounted fingerprint sensors, and especially with cheaper devices, they tend to be kind of glitchy. So I was really hoping to have an in-display fingerprint sensor on this. They do not. They did change that teardrop notch to a hole punch, but they didn't change the side-mounted fingerprint sensor to the in-display fingerprint sensor. The other thing about this device as well is we have one speaker on here, so we're not going to have dual speakers, no stereo speakers on this, and I definitely feel like the speaker isn't that bad, but I was really hoping for stereo speakers on this, especially in 2026. Kind of feel like that's absolutely needed now. Maybe in the older years where people didn't really care too much, and you get what you get when you buy a $300-400 phone. But in terms of the price with this device for $349, you can get a lot more. You can go with the Galaxy A27, you can go with the Pixel 10a. I just don't really like the decision they made with only putting a single speaker on this phone. I think it really messed up this device, to be honest. And speaking of the Galaxy A37, this is the last con about this device. So as you guys know, or you guys may not know, the Galaxy A27 in my possession right here is only available currently in the USA at Boost Mobile and Visible. Now, I believe they did this because they knew they could sell these phones through that service, and they would absolutely have a harder time selling an unlocked Galaxy A27, but this is only available currently in the USA. I'm not sure if it's going to be like this forever, but it's only available at Visible and Boost Mobile right now. So availability for this phone is really not that big in the US right now and many other markets. The second thing is that the Galaxy A37 is literally the same retail price as the Galaxy A27 right now. And this was the biggest block of confusion I've seen so far on this device. The Galaxy A37 is currently on sale at Best Buy and Amazon. I don't know what the reason would be to get this phone for $349 when the Galaxy A37 itself is $349. So if you were going to pick up this device, honestly, I would say pick up this device when it's at like $250 and it's unlocked. Even on Boost Mobile's website right now, this is $349, which is honestly pretty crazy because you could just get an unlocked Galaxy A37 and have much better specifications, much better IP rating, stereo speakers on it, or you can even get the Pixel 10a. So there are many different options out there for people. The Galaxy A27 is absolutely not a super competitive device, and I don't think it was really made for that. Honestly, I think it's for a lot of those, retailers out there, or there's prepaid companies that give out deals and stuff like that. But still, if you want to buy this phone outright from Boost Mobile and then unlock it after, it's $349. So at the end of the day, just go with the Galaxy A37. Do not pick up the Galaxy A27 unless it's at like $250 or it's at $200 and they release unlocked variants of it later on. Super weird phone right here. Definitely wasn't expecting this out of Samsung.